Yo guys, today we're gonna do a Danganronpa Another One tier list. We're just covering the first game. I still need to get to the second one. But yeah, we're just gonna rank these characters. Yeah, it's more like a character ranking video. I'm gonna start with my least favorite, move up to my favorite. So in the number 16 spot, I mean, he's already there. I just have him right there already. It's gonna be Mitch. Yeah, Mitch, he has some unlikable traits like, making advances towards like Akane in the beginning. And there's not much to his character overall. I mean, what do I say about Mitch? He's condescending, okay. But, we don't get to see that too much. He's the first killer. His motive was his soccer team. Everything related to soccer, I guess. But they kind of just tell us that. We don't really get to see that motive, It's not really shown to us. He just says that's why he did it. And there's not too much impact to it. So, yeah, there's just not much to him. And whatever there is, I just don't really like it. He does get like a redemption moment near the end, but it's kind of like too late. I don't know. And it's not that much either. He's number 16. To be fair though, this next character, Kiyoka, could be number 16 as well. I mean, they're basically tied. She just does not get much either. Like, in fact, if we're talking about like how bland the character is, she is more bland than Mitch probably. Like, when she died, I was just like, wow, she really got nothing. She was just the first victim. She did like one hope speech and then she died. But thankfully she does get something near the end, and it was something I actually wished for. So I'm glad that became true because I wanted to see her sniping talent be used. So that's nice. We got to see that being used. I really like that. So hey, that is something right there. In number 14, where are you? Here you are. I'm still putting them in dislike. Okay, I don't really dislike these characters. It's not like, I look at them and I'm like, I hate you guys. It's not like that. It's just I feel like they're bland. That's why they're here at the bottom. Inori is just another one where I'm just like, okay, what can I say about you? You're a nice person. I mean, you're kind. You like to help everyone. That's good, but it doesn't really go anywhere. I think the only time it went somewhere was in chapter 2, where she like naively trusted, I believe it was like Akane or Ayami, like that duo, where she like naively trusted in them because she wanted them to be innocent, but of course they weren't. So that was like the only thing I really liked. Everything else I was just like, okay, Inori's kind of here doing the same thing that she always did. And yeah, I don't know, just didn't get much from her. And number 13 is gonna be Hamaguchi. So with the Hamaguchi, it's just the same thing as Inori, I guess. I mean, he does have his split personality going on. It's not split personality. It's just like when he's in the courtroom, he becomes hyped up, right? But that doesn't do much. It's like, okay, we got the shy Hamaguchi in the normal daily life, right? And then in the first trial, everyone gets super shocked when he's this confident dude who makes arguments. But after that initial shock, it doesn't go anywhere. Like the way people react to Hamaguchi, the way he talks to people, it doesn't create any interesting situations. None of the characters change, like based on how he talks, how he acts in the courtroom. Nothing changes. He just has like this change in personality where he becomes like really loud. So yeah, it doesn't really do much. And again, other than that, I don't have much to say about him. That's really why these four end up in this tier, this bottom tier here. And yeah, no other characters are here. So it's just these four. After this, we're just moving on up. So as you can see, I've made this almost there tier. So this first we're gonna do utsura. So I realized I said number 16 for Mitch. If we count utsura, we're gonna have like an extra character. It's okay. I'm not really gonna count utsura for this. But if I did have to put him somewhere, I put him in almost there. He's just kind of like, he's like God, Like the story is interesting. How he grew up, like that is interesting, but I feel like it also doesn't make too much sense. I'll go through that in my trial ranking video actually. Why I don't really buy Utsura's story. But it's an interesting backstory. It's just like when you think about it, the character is just God, and yeah, he's just like this all-powerful person, and I don't know, I just don't really like that at all. Like his heavenly luck ability, basically being able to do whatever he wants whenever he wants, just not for me. Not for me, man. You'll see more of how I feel on him in the trial ranking video, and you know why I don't like the concept of utsura. But also for this tier, who I'm gonna say is number 11 or number 12, sorry, Ayami. Ayami has kind of the same problem as the 4 at the bottom, where I feel like she's kind of bland, but I don't know why. I do like her a bit more. I think her personality almost reminds me of Peko, and I quite like that type of personality where, you know, you're just, I guess you're calm and rational. You don't talk too much, but I don't know, it's hard to describe. It's hard to describe why I gravitate towards those characters. So I like her a bit for that. You know, friendship with Akane, it was a predictable like motive and stuff, but it works. It's something like compared to the characters at the bottom, I guess. Like yeah. It was something. So she's just a bit higher than everyone else in the bottom tier. That's why I put her almost there. Because I feel like after this, I consider all the characters to be at least decent. So yeah, Ayami, you're number 11. Or number 12, right? 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, yes. Next. Who is next? That is a good question. I really didn't think about the tier list too much from this point on, and this is where we get into some. I'm gonna do Haruhiko, but yeah, I might have to reorder these next few, so we'll see. I'll just put the people in the tiers, then we'll order them at the end. But with Haruhiko, I do like how he's expressive. He goes through like a lot of emotions. Like I like how he hangs out with Sutsuki. I quite like their interactions a lot. They're pretty funny, with Haruhiko getting clowned on. I guess pun intended, but yeah, you know, I do quite like that. I like when he gets angry, like he tries to take that leadership role sometimes. I like his fight with Tyria in chapter 4 with like the food stealing. So that was all fun, you know, like he does have a lot of good moments here and there. I also like his motive. So you know, in chapter 4, they initially made it seem like, oh, he's like selfless, right? He's trying to get everyone to survive. That's not the case. He wants Sutsuki to survive. So I do like that. That was like a cool twist on things. But apart from that, like, there's one thing that bugs me about Haru. It's his pervertedness. And I don't know, it's just the way it's done, I guess. Like, I forget what he said exactly, but okay, I remember now. In chapter 2, like before the you know, the man's nut scene or whatever that is, this guy's like, oh, I want to see like Kanada's infant body, and I'm just like, okay, that's super weird. And then he also said he was like, he wished to see like Kiyoka, and I don't know, I found that weird because like she's dead. You know, that's just kind of weird to think about her in that way when she's like dead from this like traumatic situation, like this killing game. I'm just like, what? And then he also has like other weird moments. Like I feel like in chapter 6, you know, like before all this killing him stuff happened, this guy's like literally hitting on other girls. You know, when he's with Sutsuki. I don't know. I just didn't really like his vibes there, like at all. His pervertedness. No, like you can make a good, funny, perverted character. It just has to be done right. I think that's like, I don't know, that's just a problem I see in Danganronpa a lot. Like not just this game, you know, the mainline ones as well. You can make a good one. It just has to be done right, I guess. And I don't know, maybe I can go through that in like another video. Who knows, but also following Haru in the same tier. This tier I have to like rework probably, but I'm gonna put Yuki here. So Yuki's an interesting one. I'm not really a fan of his personality, like, which is, I don't know, he is normal, and I guess you could say to an extent like most of the pro tags in Danganronpa are normal, but there are these tiny differences to them that actually like put them in different tiers for me. Like Yuki, I'm gonna be honest, I just didn't care for much at all. But he's not in the bottom 2 tiers for a reason, and that's because they actually put him in like a lot of different situations that I really liked. they put him in the hot seat when people suspected of him being a traitor. I liked how he reacted to that, like, you know, him being like really shook because of that, right? I liked how he was put in the hot seat in trial 5 again, where you know, they thought he was the killer, and you know, that again, he was put in the hot seat, he was shook, but I like how he like came back from that and like rose again. Like, there are cool things they do with Yuki's character where he's very involved. Like chapter 6, where he's like very confused, he doesn't know what's going on, he's getting all these like weird memories, these weird things happening to him, these weird symptoms, and I don't know, the way they used him was really good. But in terms of personality, I don't really like Yuki, man. It's just kind of normal, and I know that's weird to say, because like, you know, I like Makoto a lot, but I feel like with Makoto, there's a lot of humor in his dialogue. I didn't get the same thing from like Yuki, so it is weird. Like, even with Komaru, right, I thought a lot of her lines were funny. Even then, I also liked her arc. Yuki, just personality-wise, there's nothing there for me. But I guess it makes sense. You know, he's the protag. I know why they made him normal, so maybe it's just a me thing. I know, like, when it comes to the protags, everyone has their certain requirements, I guess. Like, they're mostly normal people, but there's just those few things to them that make some people latch on to, you know, different protagonists. So, yeah. Yuki's fine, like, he's decent for me. Next up, we need to get, I'll probably put Yuihara after Yuki. I think Yuki's better. Yuihara is interesting though. Like, I liked his calm demeanor throughout most of the game. He's a man of few words, but I liked his choice where he didn't want to, like, you know, go into Surugi's group. I really did like that. And chapter 3 had a few interesting moments with him, where like he didn't know like how to use a cell phone. I was like, oh, okay, this is weird. I'm pretty sure he didn't know something else either, but I've forgotten what that is. But we also see him break down and realize that that calm demeanor is, you know, like a persona, kind of what we see with Celeste. So he's a bit of a copy in that sense. And his murder plan is not good. Bro, his plan, we'll get to the trial ranking video, but his plan is rough. I'm just like, bro, how did you come up with that? But I liked his motive. I liked how he questioned Surugi about, you know, his morals, about the majority over the minority. Like, he called him out on his hypocrisy. I like that too. Yeah, I feel like this guy's kinda lowered because of his plan in chapter 3. I was just like, what are you doing? You know, like, even though he isn't built up to be smart, there's nothing, you know, the game doesn't tell you he's a smart character, but they kind of portray him that way with this like calm personality. Like, you know, he's not portrayed to be like Tyria, who's an idiot. I don't know, man. It's just that chapter 3, but also chapter 3 does have his best moments too, so it's like a double-edged sword right there. And other than that, there's not much to him. Like, chapter 1 and 2, to be honest, there's not much to him in those chapters. So I think that's a fair placement. And in the same tier, I think I'll put Sutsuki in the same tier as well. Sutsuki, she had her funny moments. I think in the earlier chapters, I think she had good comic relief. I think during like any like Haru Sutsuki scenes, I thought she was like always the more funny one out of the two. I liked her lines like quite a lot. I did like her hopeful stance on the killing game. Like, it was interesting that she was always happy, and that was only interesting because a lot of the other characters, you know, they constantly got like nervous and scared. That's why Sutsuki stood out in that way, because she was just always happy. She didn't seem to like despair in any of the situations until the execution, right? That's when you can see that she's just another human. Like, she's just like all of us. She might seem like, I guess, holy in a sense. It's probably like not a good way to say it, but like just above this killing game. But she isn't. She's like the rest of us. When that execution happened, she definitely felt the pain. She couldn't keep her smile, you know. It makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed her character. She was like a more comic relief character, but I liked her. next? Ooh, who do I put next here? How much? 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. We're in the top 7, huh? Are we on the top 7? Oh, Kisaragi, yes. Should I put him now? Okay, yeah. I mean, we'll reorder them later, but Kisaragi, I definitely think I would put in the enjoyable tier. Which is crazy, because he doesn't actually have a lot of screen time. But from what I saw of him, he was enjoyable. Now, it does get weird ranking Kisaragi, right? Because I don't know who he is in chapter 4. It's not really him. It's him with the side effects of like that memory restoration device or whatever that was. But I think I'm gonna factor that in, because even then that part of him that was used well. I think I liked his introduction. It was such a twist on things, because you expect this guy to come in like all serious, but no, he was like very goofy, and I quite enjoyed that. But even then, yeah, even then, like even taking away his chapter 4 appearance, I think he would be right here in this enjoyable tier, because his normal character alone just has a lot going for him, man. I loved seeing like the diary entries in chapter 6 of him like writing down what he was thinking during the whole killing him situation. I like how he's a leader. Yes, he's the leader of the group, but he still makes mistakes, right? Like he couldn't snipe the Monokumas. Kiyoka to take over. He couldn't do everything, right? He made mistakes by trusting Mikako, by letting in Yuki and Akane. Like he made his fair share of mistakes while being like this strong leader character who does eventually save the day at the end. But you know, he's not perfect. That's what I liked about him. And yeah, I just love seeing his thought process. I love seeing his interactions with Mikako, like, you know, in the past. Those were really fun to see. Like how he didn't really consider her feelings. And he just tried to, you know, take on all the burden by himself. I really liked it. There's a lot to him in a short amount of time, so I'll put him in enjoyable. Next up, yeah, we will put Akane. Okay, Akane is weird though, because again, she's one of those where she's pretty different from you know, chapters 1 to 5 compared to chapter 6, because she awakens her ultimate despair form, or her true self, essentially. I will count both people in like a 1 tier for this, even though it is kind of strange. But yeah, as a whole, if I do that, she would be like right here, in the enjoyable tier. Yeah, even if I split them up, I think both of them would go in this tier. So yeah, Akane is strange because I did like a lot of her moments. I liked her in chapter 2, where she, you know, made the mistake of, I don't know, I forgot what she did, to be honest, but she did something pretty messed up. I think she didn't say the truth of what happened, because she felt like she would be suspected of doing the killing, and because she hid that, well, that's a problem, because these guys have to figure out who did it in order to you know, get the black and correct. Or I think she thought she was the one who did the killing, something like that. I don't know, but I really liked that, and how she sort of just fell into like this despair. She felt really depressed. She wouldn't like get out of her room. She had like anxiety, I guess. I mean, dude, she was like yelling within her room for like no one to come in. And I liked that, but what I didn't like is how quickly she got over that. Mikako said like one speech, and Akane just did the switch where she returned back to normal. So I think Akane, the like low point of her character is just that emotional switch where I felt like it was way too fast. And I feel like she had a couple of switches like that where I'm like, okay, you went from like here to here way too fast. That's not how a person, you know, like, that's not how a person expresses their emotions. You don't go from like depressed one day to like the happiest person in the world the next day. That's not how it works. So that was like the low point. But we also got Ultimate Despair Akane, which I thought she had an interesting story without Utsura helped her. And you know, her story is obviously very tragic, as implied by like the end of the game. But I also liked how we got to saw that she did care for her classmates. She had this dilemma of following Utsura or protecting her classmates, and she was in a tight spot. I don't think she could really refuse, because as we can see, Utsura was willing to kill her. And that's a really tough dilemma, man. Like, what do you do? And at the end, she decided to save some of her classmates. And yeah, it was interesting to see her get past that dilemma. I think even the Kane we see in the earlier chapters, I did like her because she was expressive. Like, she got mad at points. She was really happy at points. She was an expressive character. She had her say in, what should be done. I loved her fight with Surugi. Oh my god, I almost forgot to talk about that. But her rivalry with Surugi, oh my god, that was fun to see how it like develops through the game, and how they like kind of switch the roles. So that's really fun. I like that. But next up, we got this guy, Tyria. So this guy is another one of the comic relief type of characters for me, at least. He had some good jokes. I liked chapter 4 where he dances with Mikako. I thought that scene was so funny because he's like, "Hey dad, look, I got a girl," and then Mikako's just like staring at him like with his like dead looking face, and he's just like freaked out. Oh my god, I love that. That was probably the funniest scene in the game for me. But he has his jokes, but I also like what chapter 4 does with him, where he calls like Haru and Sutsuki out for hoarding the food, but he was doing the same thing behind everyone's back, and he sort of has to redeem himself for those mistakes. And I like seeing the process of him getting over that. I also like how there are points where he got really angry. Like in the beginning of the game, it seemed like he was just gonna be, this comic relief guy, but no, I liked how he could get angry when he wanted to. He could like shout at the other students, take control when he wished. So that was interesting to see as well. And I think by the end of the game, his comedy was better because he was with like all the smart people. Like he's with Surugi, Rei, Yuki, like Mikako, all these people who are pretty smart. And then you just got Tyria, who's just saying all these weird things, and it is pretty funny when you're like the only character, that's kind of dumb, and you're just in the class trial with everyone else. It's pretty funny. So yeah, Tyria, you're high up, number 5, I believe. And in number 4, yeah, we got basically the antagonistic character, the Nagito of the game. And this guy could have been way higher, right? This guy could have been the other tier. I should probably say favorites. I'll pick my favorite at the end, but for now I'll say favorites. Yeah, this guy would be at the highest tier. Only problem is, I felt like some of the points of his writing were just so weird. He has the same problem with the Kane, where I felt like his emotions just went through wild changes way too fast. I am totally fine with the character changing, but I don't want that change to happen like so suddenly, because then it just doesn't feel right. It just feels so weird. Like I said it in like chapter 1, where he starts to reveal his like crazy phase. I don't feel like that was built up too well. But like even going past that, like in chapter 4 where he's like, "Oh, everyone should shoot themselves," I'm just like, what is going on? Dude, this guy's going through the craziest phases out of nowhere. It just feels so weird. I'm just like, I don't enjoy these changes. The change where he he calms down, he recognizes his mistakes, that's fine in like chapter 5 where he gets back his memories, because he's gotten back like 2 years worth of memories, 2 or 1 years, I don't know how many years it was, but he's gotten memories back. That works. But then at the end of the game, just because Utsuro says like this one speech about something that sends him into despair, this guy like goes back crazy again. I'm just like, what? It's just like he shifts way too fast. He shouldn't shift that fast. So that's my problem with Surugi right there. Other than that, he is a very enjoyable character. I do like his perspective on the killings, how he's like, all killings are evil, and then how he recognized like, oh shoot, my perspective here might not be as correct as I thought. Maybe I have to check my thoughts and see if my philosophy is, what I truly believe in. I also loved how he was in his antagonist role. Again, his rivalry with Akane. Like in chapter 2, I remember he was like, Akane, you're a killer as well. You should be ostracized from the group. And it was pretty interesting because I can kind of see where he's coming from, even though he does it in this cruel way. Because if she didn't give everyone information, that would lead them to die, essentially, because they would get the culprit wrong. So I did really like that. He was a good antagonistic force. It's just, again, the writing is just kind of flip-floppy with this guy, but he was interesting. But that leads into my favorites. Putting 3 characters here for my favorites. And we're going to start with Kazuna. That's right, a chapter 2 victim. Going this far up. If you can see, there's a general trend here where the more chapters you live for, the higher you are. But with Kazuna, she was just a really good character that died early. Bro, that's what I'm saying. If your character dies early, that doesn't mean they have to be worse. You can do interesting things with them, and I think with Kazuna, they nailed it. Bro, okay, you have that scene where she's crying. She's this breakdown, and Yuki and Akane hear that, right? But later on, it's weird because she tries to kill Akane, and she's like, "Oh, that where I was crying, yeah, that was all fake." But if you think about it, how can that be fake? She must have planned that out in some way. She must have known Yuki and Akane were there. So I don't think that crying was fake. I think she truly felt alone, but I think she just couldn't handle the pressure of the killing game, which allowed her to snap. Even when she was consulting Akane about killing Yuki, she wanted to do it as a duo, which is strange because then you're more likely to get caught because someone can snitch on you, right? Your partner can snitch. But Kazuna realized that was the case. She knew it would be more risky, and I feel that has something to do with her, not wanting to feel alone. I didn't dig deep into their free time events. To be honest, I haven't played any of their free time events. Maybe I'll do a separate video on that, ranking their free times, and then changing my character rankings based on that. But I just felt that was interesting. And even with Yuki, when she learned that Yuki may have known the mastermind, I think she probably did feel scared about Yuki, but she still called him Yuki-chan, or something along those lines. It was a friendly term, a friendly way of saying his name, which I think that suggested to me that she still felt that Yuki was a friend, deep down inside. So I thought that was interesting as well. She was also one of the characters I liked in Trial 1. In Trial 1, I didn't like a lot of the characters. I just felt they were bland. But I like how she was on the defensive. When, Mitch tried to blame the girl, she was like, "Nope, don't bring me into this." And she really got angry. She got pissed. It was really fun to just see her get annoyed at the rest of the cast. But yeah, in that short amount of time, I just thought Kazuna was one of the more interesting characters of the group. So even though she died early, she is going to go in this top tier. Next up, second place, we got Rei. Now Rei is a weird one because on paper I would not like her, because she feels a bit too similar to Byakuya. And I love Byakuya, by the way. It's just I'm not really a fan when characters feel too similar to, an already existing character, if that makes sense. But I don't know, I couldn't help but love Rei. I guess I just love the same things I loved about Byakuya. She called people out. She could laugh at the killing game situation during crazy moments. She was laughing at Surugi for being a lunatic. She was laughing at Yuki because, everyone ostracized him. She's kind of another antagonist. I don't know, I wouldn't really say she's the antagonist of the game. That's not true at all. But she's mean. She makes fun of the other characters, and it's just funny to see. She's a character that makes the other characters angry, and I like those interactions. I like how she invokes emotion out of the other characters. She was a character that was fun to watch basically throughout the whole game. She was fun in the prologue, and she was fun until chapter 6, and I'd say she's the only character like that. She also has her like interesting moments, I guess, where she liked like the dance, which was interesting. I wouldn't expect her to like the dance, but she did. You could also slowly start to see how she grew fond with other students. I think especially with Yuki, she started to see his abilities. She started to recognize him as like one of the smarter people in the group. So yeah, I don't really have much to say about Rei. Like, I guess just a lot of her lines are what made me like her so much. But it's not like I can just recall all these individual lines. It's just more of an in the moment kind of thing. But I will say one thing that does knock her off some points is that, yeah, again, she's like too similar to Byakuya. And in some cases, it almost feels like she follows his dialogue. Like, I've already said it in my general review, but there's one point at the end of chapter 4 where it feels like she takes Byakuya's speech, like almost word for word. And it's just like, whoa, you're following this guy way too much. You gotta cut down on that. But other than that, she's a really good, really fun character. So that's why she's in the runner-up spot. But that being said, number 1, Mikako Kurokawa. Oh my god. Like, this character is so good. This is my favorite. So, where do I even start? Yes, she's silent. She doesn't say a lot. But she makes up for that with expressions. Her expressions are so good. Like, you can tell what she's feeling. In chapter 5 is a spectacular chapter for Mikako. Because you can see when she's shocked. You can see when she's angry. You can see when she's like desperate. I loved seeing her in that dilemma where she couldn't speak too much because she's gonna die, but she also had to speak to save herself, and that's like such a cool dilemma. You could see when she was thinking things were going wrong. She also uses her expressions a lot for comedy, like again the Tyria dance scene, her like dead like I'm done with you face. It is awesome, and I feel like she can also like cheer people on without making it like super cringy and just like hard to listen to. Like, characters in Danganronpa, they always give like these hope speeches, and for a lot of them, honestly, like, it's so hard to listen to. Like, I'm just like, bro, this is like the power of friendship thing we hear like in every single thing, basically, like every single piece of media nowadays. But I don't know, Mikako just says it in a way where I'm just like, that was actually cool, rather than making me think, I want to stop playing this game. Like, she's a cool character who wants to get things done, but due to her limitations, she encounters problems doing so, and that was really fun to see. I also love seeing how she was before she got the effects of the memory restoration device. As we could see, she was very talkative, she was a very optimistic girl, but that doesn't mean she's just this happy person. She had moments where she's mad, like she was mad at Utsura for just, not talking, not saying anything. She's just like, what's wrong with you? She got very emotional because Kisaragi wouldn't like listen to her feelings, but when Kisaragi did listen to her, which was not suspecting Yuki Nakane, like Mikako told him to let those people go. That's an interesting fault because she's almost too naive. She was too hopeful in them, and that caused Kisaragi to stop pursuing them, which is interesting. So yeah, again, Mikako is just such a fun character to watch. She wasn't like crazy fun in the beginning, but bro, as the chapters just kept going on, she just became way better, like, as each chapter went, and she became my favorite character in Danganronpa Another. So yeah, that's about it. I'm losing my voice. This is my tier list. Do I have to make any changes? I think I'm okay with this for now. I mean, this is a general list, and I'll probably change the list after I've played the free time events. So yeah, that's about it. Goodbye.